What's going on today, everybody? I wanted to do a updated matchup chart to talk about what has changed for me in recent times with the new patch. You know, obviously new knowledge has come across my noggin, so I wanted to share with you guys what I think the new ZSS matchup chart is. Probably won't be too different from before, but we'll see. You know, I've played obviously like every matchup in the game. I know which ones are easy, which ones are hard. I am the smartest ZSS player. Period. So if it needs to be explained that this isn't anything, this is just like the little buffer so you know that this is a matchup chart for the trash girl. Yeah, -2 is obviously going to be the worst, the absolute worst matchups, the ones that are actually like really hard, uphill battle the whole way through. Got to sweat lord for it. -1, hard but pretty winnable. You know, there needs to be a clear distinction between the matchups because there are dramatic differences within those. A lot of people think that that's just not the case, but there are like difference in difficulties for matchups for ZSS, like a notable increase in difficulty, which is why I have the -1, -2, you know. And if you wanted an actual ratio, -1 is 55-45, 2 is 6-4, which, I mean, both are obviously winnable. You've probably seen me win them. Even matchup, it's pretty self-explanatory. +1, I win it. The other player can win it too. Obviously, I have the advantage, that's why it's a plus. And +2 probably just means they stand no chance, as ZSS can be very oppressive. I will just randomly click a character and see how I feel about it. So, where did I land? Roy? Oh, wow. We're starting off good. Roy, I think, is a -1. He's one of the sword characters who has the mobility to contest ZSS a lot of the time. It's hard to gimp him, given his recovery route. ZSS's options don't really cover that, like, weird, mostly horizontal, but still diagonal angle, while the hitbox is, like, pretty much above him. You'd have to get behind him, and at that point, you can just tech the stage if I do get behind him, but that's just off stage. Like, neutral is super hard. He's fast. He hits harder than me. Has to win less neutral interactions, but character's got really good frame data too, so he can swing and a miss as much as he wants. Peach and Daisy, they're actually, you know, obviously one of the best characters in the game. However, the fact that ZSS can flex her mobility all over them and like have it a safe distance, super good. Like the hitboxes for Peach and Daisy aren't super big. A lot of their success comes from the ridiculous combo damage they can get. But, you know, that's assuming they can actually hit their combo starters. And even their poke options do a lot of damage too, but if you just play smart and reserved and, like, pick your spots really well, more often than not, you will always have a lead over the Peach or Daisy player, as long as you don't get blown up, which you have to. You have to be really diligent at, you know, not getting blown up, or else it's ugly. Getting a lead back from this character is so hard, because then you kind of have to commit and you have to approach. You have to play from ahead most of the time. I'm looking at Cloud. Cloud is one of the few even matchups I think ZSS has. She lost very bad in Smash 4. His aerials are just absolutely obscene, and air-to-air is where ZSS excels in, but Cloud can actually fight ZSS in air-to-air combat with like back air, nair, up air. You know, it's all very hard to work around as her. The only reason it's not like losing for the, like, if you want to consider different reasons, the only reason it's not losing is because he can get gimped. You know, once ZSS does get in, he doesn't have the best disadvantage state. But the hardest part is definitely just like getting a good neutral interaction, and executing the gimp is also pretty difficult too. His advantage state is also really well against her. He has the mobility and the frame data to like kill her early and still like also keep her in disadvantage. We'll do Banjo next. I think that's what, like +1. My previous one, I put Banjo at a +2. I'm starting to think it might be a +1 for the sole reason that like you end up trading with Banjo a lot more than you'd really like. He does have the potential to kill a little early, given that ZSS tends to teeter around the edge a little bit, and he has like really high base knockback moves like forward air, side B, etc. or whatever. And you just sometimes you trade with him, even if you play slow. Like, it gives him another chance to win neutral, and projectiles versus ZSS tend to be really good, especially ones you hold in your hand and they like Link Bomb, or, you know, his grenade. Obviously, very good at anti-airing if you're good with it. Like I said, you might end up trading. You accidentally kind of build up damage on yourself, and the matchup can get kind of stupid that way. However, she kind of just like, once she's in, it's a lot of damage, and offstage is just super ugly for him. He gets like 6 chances offstage because he has to use Wonder Ring almost every time. This is the next character I looked at, Lucario. I think it's only a +1. Some people seem to think it's a +2 given the fact that like, he kind of just doesn't have options. But I don't think that's true. A lot of his boxing options just don't get the job done against ZSS. Like, his best tool is a burst option, which is forward air, and you know, approaching already sucks in this game, so you're putting yourself at a disadvantage by already approaching. However, I think his next best option in the matchup is Aura Sphere, because ZSS isn't going to approach on the ground if she sees Big Ball charging next to her, or in front of her. So, like, you can anti-air, you can you can anti-air with the Aura Sphere is what I'm saying. You can dismantle any form of approach by just simply holding Aura Sphere. I have to respect it a lot too, because like, she's super light, she can just die in 3 hits once he has Aura, and sealing the stock sometimes as ZSS can be really hard. If you miss any type of edge guard or kill, you have to play so much more neutral, and you can just die at any point. Diddy Kong, similar to Smash 4, is a losing matchup, however not that bad given that Diddy Kong is not as oppressive as he once was. The only saving grace that ZSS had in Smash 4 was grab combos, however she doesn't have that anymore. Getting a neutral win on this character is hell. It is so hard. You have to play advantage state pretty much the whole game if you want any chance of winning. You have to keep him in disadvantage, you have to juggle him well, you have to go for gimps. Like, you cannot play a fair game if you want to play against Diddy. And getting to that part is the hard part. Like winning neutral should not be as hard. Well, I mean, it should not be as hard. Playing against Diddy Kong is super annoying. Banana just, similar to Aura Sphere, like I said earlier, you can just catch landings with it, get really good damage. She's a light character, so he doesn't have to win as many neutral interactions. A lot of people think like Diddy's not as good because he has to win more neutral, but against lighter characters, that's just not the case, so he does really well against the lighter characters. Alright, we'll move on to the first, what I think is a -2. This is a very, very hard matchup, you know. Joker. Very, very skinny. That's probably the most annoying part about Joker. He is so hard to hit. Even if you call him out properly, like, it might just whiff. Like, you missed by 1 pixel, and he gets damage on you. And, like, it might not be a lot. Sometimes it is a lot, even without Arsene. It all adds up, and then eventually he does get Arsene, and he only needs 2 hits, and it's over. Like the combination of you getting comboed pretty hard because you're a fast faller, Arsene killing you super early, his projectile is like an inherent anti-air. He's one of the very few characters that can actually go off stage versus ZSS confidently and not get reverse edge guarded if he's smart. It makes a really tragic combination of a very good matchup for him and a very bad matchup for ZSS, all things considered. Top of the list, Bayonetta. An even matchup. That one might be controversial for people. Her side B is ridiculous, man. That's like her saving grace in that whole matchup. Her side B is an anti-air, which, you know, ZSS jumps, gets really good combos for her. This is like one of the very few matchups with ZSS you have to play super grounded if you want to win against a competent Bayonetta. You gotta like crouch and neutral type thing. She actually competes against ZSS really well. Again, one of the very few characters that can actually go off stage versus ZSS is Bayonetta. But just the natural shortcomings make it an even matchup. The natural shortcomings of Bayonetta is what I'm talking about. I'm gonna replace Daisy with Peach, because I like Peach more than Daisy. You're stupid. You're stupid. Nobody likes you. We don't see any +2s, so I'm going to enlighten you guys to +2s. I don't see any +2s. Damn, this character's trash. Oh, Marth. There we go. This character's just bad. I think the character, like the natural shortcomings of the character is just inconsistent all around. Sure, Leo beat me in the first to 10 with Marth versus ZSS. I think I only did like 5 games of ZSS or something, but it's just Wi-Fi at that point. Like, it's hard to microspace around those kind of characters, and getting parries on sword characters is super huge. And even if Marth does win neutral against you, he's probably not going to get much. And even if he plays advantage state well, he's just not going to be able to pull off as much damage. He has to be a lot better than his opponent, and a lot more consistent and smarter to actually do anything well. And he's just bad. ZSS's kit is also just naturally pretty good against swordies. Their mobility kind of puts them in their place, you know, rush down over zoner kind of thing. In that same vein, however, I think Lucina is even. You'd be kind of surprised at the whole huge gap. I think the character gap between Lucina and Marth is, first of all, that big. And even though even though ZSS does really well against like the swordy zoner style, Like, Lucina's, like, egregious hitboxes on top of the fact that there's not a lot of lag on her moves, like, creates a lot of situations where you end up trading or getting hit by something raw. Like, they can kind of just swing around and not get punished. It really is, like, a clash of, like, two very different play styles. And the advantage states feel almost the exact same. Like, neither of us can really go off stage against the other one really well unless the other one slips up. Neutral is kind of just like a bait and punish for both characters, even though, you know, rushdown versus zoner. It's just like the only thing, like if one of the characters have something over the other, then the vice versa is true. So like obviously the fact that Lucina has a disjoint gets outdone by the fact that ZSS has ridiculous mobility and frame data. So, you know, tit for tat kind of thing. Tap for tap? I don't know how that saying goes. We'll bang out some of these +2s real quick, because I think they're the least interesting ones. We just already know about these ones. Where are you at? Robin, you get destroyed. Offstage, you just don't get to play the game. Your projectiles don't matter. They're all committal. You're going to get put away regardless. Byleth, you're just kind of too slow to deal with me. All your frame data slow, your movement's slow. You just get put away. I out-frame dated you. Most of the +2s are just like getting out-frame dated or out-comboed, or like, you know, there's not much you can really do. You get, like I said, you get out-frame dated, out-comboed, like, your damage output, even if it is high, you're not hitting me. You shouldn't be hitting me unless I'm playing bad. There's one set where Hikaru beat Kuro. I never watched that set. I don't even know if it was on stream, but I was so flabbergasted I didn't watch it. You like that big word? That's the wrinkles. Yeah, we'll save some of the other +2s, except for this one. You're also just same boat. Your armor doesn't matter. Like, you get frame trapped or you get parried, you know what I mean? If the spacing's on point, K-Rool doesn't really stand a chance. He just gets put away. This is the next character I looked at, Fox. You already know. Light, I play Light a lot. We've played at weeklies, we've played at regionals, majors, etc., etc. I firmly believe it is a -1. For the longest time, I teetered on -2, man. He can put ZSS away. If he's on fire, like if he gets his ground game going, his frame traps on point, his call-out's good, like, obviously some of that isn't consistent, which is why it's not a -2. But he can really just contest the ever-living trash. Like, he can contest the ever-living out of ZSS. Like, his ground game, like his dash attack sometimes just anti-airs. His up tilt the same way. Like, he covers himself with hitboxes. He's just a moving ball of spikes. And if you get hit by any of it, it converts into a combo, and it snowballs. Now you're playing in disadvantage, and it snowballs. And the only reason it's not a -2, because I'm sure it sounds like one now, is the fact that if I do get a neutral interaction win, it's like a 50-50 on whether or not I get to keep the juggle. And if I keep the juggle, he's usually dead. You know, I have to basically win 2 50-50s and he's dead, whereas he has to win neutral like 4 or 5 times to even be able to take a stock, even though he has a really easy time getting neutral wins, which is why it's a -1. I think this is the one that teeters on -2. This matchup's very hard. You know, I'm already looking at him. Sorry, Mr. Cheeto Fingers, but you're just a poopy +2, man. You're a bad character. You poor little thing. Oh, you wish you was so good, but you're not. You're just a stupid cat who stands up. Dummy. Okay, this is also a pretty controversial opinion of mine. Snake, I think it's even. A lot of people think it's +1 ZSS favor, but if you watch me versus Vinny G at CEO Dreamland, you'll see like what the Snake has to do. You have to have Shemix with Snake if you want to like even have a chance in the ZSS matchup. Otherwise, if you just play some formula bullcrap like just super uniform Snake, where you pull grenades, roll, and air dodge to the ground, you're just gonna get destroyed. You're gonna think it's a +2. You know what I mean? Like, you need to be able to keep yourself very ambiguous and, like, throw a lot of situations at ZSS. And the damage output, getting around grenades can be really difficult for ZSS. Even though it's kind of a low chance for her to proc a grenade out of hit stun, he still shouldn't, like, he can use his mobility to get out of hit stun versus ZSS, because she has to commit to, like, one direction that he's going. R.O.B is a +1, in my opinion. Sometimes I think it's even. His hitboxes can be really egregious, but if you just play well, you go for the parries, and like you just do natural R.O.B counterplay. Like I said, parrying, using the gyro against him, abusing his big body, going off stage. The only reason it's not a +2 is because if he does win neutral, it hurts, and you can just die early. If you have gyro in hand, you can use it as an anti-air. Like, having gyro in hand forces ZSS on the ground, and I feel like no R.O.B has ever noticed that, ever. They're all P-brains, that's why. Ryu, kind of the same boat. For different reasons, though. If I get hit, I kind of explode. Yeah, I could just die at like 50, maybe 40. Same thing with Ken here. If I just win neutral, they might go off stage and just die, you know, like, there's really no reason I should be getting hit, but they do have a projectile to condition with, and their burst ranges aren't like, I thought they were way worse than they were. And then I played against them and I was a little surprised. Some people think this is even from what I've heard. I think it's possible that it's even. I think he has one of the best chances against CSS. Him and Young Link. Where's Young Link? The projectiles are really annoying to get through. You have to kind of pick your spots really well, but they're both able to box you out, Young Link and Toon Link, once you get close. Even if Young Link's frame data is better than Toon Link, like just the way like frame data matches up, we'll be going one swing for one swing every time we have to force a neutral interaction. And because ZSS has like the ability to be mobile and bait really well, and even if she doesn't commit to anything and they don't, like you have to reset a situation, she still just is ahead because of you have to respect the burst range at all times. Since we're talking about projectile cowards, Samus is kind of similar, where I can condition super easily. What they should be doing, charge shot isn't a huge part of the matchup, unlike Aura Sphere with Lucario or like Mewtwo. Every neutral option that Samus has is pretty committal, minus like down B or something. But if you have a down B habit, I'm punishing you. You know, like down B isn't just some unpunishable godsend. Yeah, you should be able to use your mobility to like kind of scare them into doing a stupid option or pushing them into a corner and then doing a stupid option. You can go off stage versus Samus. You should never really get reversaled unless you get your down B caught by a down air. Projectiles don't make a huge difference. You combo her pretty well. Mega Man. Okay. So this is an opinion that I've changed pretty recently. I think Mega Man is an even matchup. I never realized how good his back air is and how hard it is to punish. Pestering with the projectiles is super good for him because obviously ZSS is light. You know, you need less damage to kill lighter characters. And he can tack on damage pretty well. You know, he pesters with the lemons and Metal Blade, Crash Bomber, all that. And then once he actually does start getting in his combos, his advantage state's really good. His up air covers ZSS's jumps really well. The only reason it's not like a bad matchup is because like the mobility to actually get around these projectiles is there. It's hard to do, but the mobility is there. And you have to play really slow, which Mega Man is good at. Like, if you play at Mega Man's pace, you're usually not winning. But ZSS, like, her explosive factor is, like, the deciding part of the match. Like, you just have to be able to kill him within a few neutral interactions per stock to actually stand a chance. But he has the ability to stop that pretty well if you play smart. Wolf, I think, is one of ZSS's worst matchups. His nair is super ridiculous, dude. It stuffs most aerial approaches, and if I try to like outspace it, he can forward air. Like if he can play a lot of different ways too. That's the hard part about fighting Wolf. He can try to scrap with you, which you have to play a completely different play style, as if he were to instead like laser camp and zone. You know, you have to be able to like tell what the Wolf is doing before they even start doing it. So you have to kind of just commit way earlier than they do, and the execution for actually getting in on Wolf is pretty hard. The gimping is kind of possible against Wolf. You would think it's easy, but it's really not. You know, the timing mix-ups are just hard to get around. It's like a 50-50 maybe if you even get a gimp if you win a neutral interaction. But the only thing that ZSS has that kind of helps with this matchup is her really good her good advantage state. But winning neutral is super hard. You die early, like Fair Bear will kill ZSS at the edge, like super early, ridiculously. And getting in is super hard. He's got the lingering hitboxes, you know, dash attack anti-airs inherently, laser 2. It's a very rough matchup. Ness is another matchup that I think is super even. He could play the matchup just kind of super basically with like shield camping and going for trades most of the time. It is possible for him to get gimped, but like in the damage department, like he should be outdoing ZSS. Game & Watch, I think, is a +1. You know, a lot of people think this character is broken. Game & Watch is just not that broken, man. A lot of his options are pretty predictable. He's not, like, fast. His burst range is pretty meh. ZSS can zone him out. Damage doesn't really matter. ZSS can live for super long against Game & Watch, but he's also light as hell. And I can get the kill a lot easier than him, which is saying something. The only reason it's not +2 is because, like, once he does get his combos, it is a lot of damage. And back air is a good anti-air for him to kill with. Up B doesn't really matter. Falcon, +1. ZSS just does a lot of what Falcon does, but better. She's just faster, gets more damage per interaction, has a better recovery. The only thing that Falcon like kind of outdoes ZSS in is like, I guess like out of shield. and shielding against ZSS is really good. So Pokemon Trainer, I think, is a -2. Matchup's very hard. Squirtle pretty much does most of the work, and then you just swing at the air with Ivysaur and Charizard, and you'll probably just win. The Squirtle's super hard to hit. Combos do a lot of damage, and then the other Pokemon just do the rest of the work for you. Ganondorf. +2. Character's bad. I shouldn't even have to explain that. Ridley, you too. You're just bad. Your hitboxes, though they may be big, do not matter. You are stinky poo-poo. You suck. Piranha Plant. Okay. Call me crazy. I don't think it's a +2. It's a +1. This character can go for trades, bro. This character is, like, so weird. Because Spike Ball, like, it goes lower than I expected. And it actually anti-airs, like, short hops and stuff, too. So if they have enough time to set up and, like, mind game, I suppose. Gimping is actually kind of harder than I expected. I played an actually good Piranha Plant, and I was like, what the hell? Why is your recovery actually kind of hard to contest right now? Yeah, the damage the character can do is ridiculous, and his up smash, which kills at like 70, is an anti-air. You know, ZSS loves to jump. He does better in the matchup than I would expect, but at the end of the day, he is still a mid character with bad disadvantage. Another -1 for the boys. Palutena has a really easy time anti-airing ZSS. That's where a lot of her damage is going to come from. Doesn't really get gimped. Shouldn't get edge guarded that hard. She just has an easier time winning neutral. It's literally all it comes down to, is just the neutral interactions. There shouldn't be any like early deaths, but she just does better in neutral given the fact that she has an anti-air that's good as hell, being there, and dash attack, which beats my aerial too, you know. Super duper rough. Pikachu. Oh, this matchup is basically unwinnable, dude. I don't know how I beat Sam all the time. Whoa, I'm so good. No, the matchup's very hard. He's very small, which obviously makes it very hard to hit and makes all of my timings very predictable if he stays on the ground. You know, I can only really nair or forward air at one tempo if he stays on the ground, which makes for pretty easy parries, or just like rolls if you time your roll properly, and then you can go for a whiff punish if you want. T-Jolts is another thing that, like, even though ZSS's ground game is kind of weak, it's still good, like, if you're good at utilizing it. But Pikachu's T-Jolt will just immediately take me off of the ground, or else, because if I shield it, I'll get grabbed. Pikachu, another one of those characters that he can't really go off stage, but he can cover aerial options, which he can condition a recovery out of me, which is super good. It makes ZSS more predictable. It gets a lot of damage per interaction. ZSS very light, dies early. He's light, but I wouldn't be winning neutral all that often. Same reason why I think Pichu is a -2. It's literally just the same kind of stuff, but like smaller hitboxes and lighter, even lighter somehow, which is crazy. And the T-Jolt does knockback, which sucks. So, Richter, you just get gimped, man. I'm sorry, dude. Your projectiles just aren't fast enough to really be scared of. They all go at like a set trajectory and distance. It's just super easy to work around if you know what's going on as ZSS. And then you get gimped, and GG's shake my hand. Greninja is like again a matchup I wish I had more knowledge in. I always fluctuate between putting this +1 or putting this even. I think if it came down to offline, I would put this matchup as probably even. You can play a little bit more reaction based when you're Greninja. You don't have to take all the baits, and you can go for parries again because he's a short character. Like I said with Pikachu and Pichu, you can only really do your falling aerials at one tempo. And even if I don't commit to the aerial, then I get a grab, and maybe I get a grab. I get the ground interaction, which isn't always that good. Our mobilities are kind of even. Our damage output's very similar. He's just a little heavier, but I'm just a little faster kind of thing. Sheik, this one might be a surprise. I've always thought this even before the Sheik buffs. I think it's just a -1. Okay, think about the fact that Smash 4 ZSS and Sheik were just really weird matchup where the only saving grace for ZSS was you grab her. Would you grab Sheik and she dies? In this game, Sheik still holds her like oppressive neutral and like really good frame data, and you know it kind of has the same ability to kill, if not even better now, with like needle confirms and gravity grenade being pretty good. I think for that reason, and ZSS doesn't have like a cheese factor anymore, and her neutral hasn't really changed all that much. You just kind of put it all together. And like ZSS will just get oppressed by Sheik. Has to go for trades, has to go for callouts pretty much all the time. And I can't really kill her that early unless she's acting Demicky. We'll do Link next. I think Link is an even matchup, which is probably crazy because people think Link is a scrub character, but he can go for a lot of trades. His boomerang's an inherent anti-air. He's heavy. He's actually, for some reason, hard to edgeguard. It's not as simple as just flip kick him. No, his up tilt also anti-airs really well. You will consistently die at 100 as the assess if you play against a good Link, because like all of his aerials do really well against hers. He can kind of air to air really well, and if he wants to just like not get zoned in on, he can just nair box. The only reason it's not like a losing matchup is because ZSS's air does a really good job at pestering him. And once you're in his zone, you can kind of make him commit to doing something stupid and hopefully getting some damage there and just have that happen a couple times. You have to win a lot more neutral than him, but your neutral is just better. We'll do Falco. Falco is just like, he doesn't have the speed to really get it done, to really play on an even playing field. He's too slow. His air mobility is good and his jump height's nice and whatever, but his combos help him make this a not +2. If he was faster, he could contest a lot with my frame data, but he can't. He just doesn't have what it takes. And like I said, even though his damage is good, like getting the damage a couple times and then getting the kill is just a completely different like subject. Like it's hard for him to do. Zelda, I think this matchup is very bad for Zelda. She just gets put away. We'll throw a couple more -2s in that we all know, love. Dr. Mario, probably my easiest matchup in the whole game. The mobilities, the moves just don't get it done. They don't stand a chance. They get pestered by Zaire, they get comboed super easy. I can go off stage versus both of them. All of their options in neutral are typically committal. What's Bowser? Bowser's an interesting matchup. I have to win so much neutral. I think my neutral is better than his. But if he shield camps and like rolls, I just die sometimes. Like if I go for a grab and he rolls, I just die. I juggle him better, I go off stage better, my advantage is typically better. He just needs like a couple correct callouts to be able to keep the game close and honest. So that's what's saving him from a +2. DeDeDe, imagine everything I just explained for Bowser previously, except he doesn't have the clutch mechanic or the good frame date, like, or the hitboxes or anything. He just gets destroyed. His only good thing is like Gordo, but I can just kick that back at him. Say goodbye. All the Shotos I think are just +1 for the similar reasons. I'll actually just throw him in over here too. He gets a lot of damage per interaction and his neutral's pretty good, but once he's off stage, it's kind of just over. Mario is, I think, an even matchup. Dark Wizzy and I have talked about this a lot. Even though he's stubby and his mobility is just barely enough to be able to call out ZSS properly with her spacing, like with correct spacing, he gets zoned out really hard, but he becomes so explosive once he finally gets in. It's hard for him to play advantage state, but he has to really just rely on neutral and shield camping a lot, because he can get really hard punishes if I whiff or grab, which he needs to bait. But we both have like an equal difficulty in getting kills on each other. So it really, a lot of it comes down to like, can I zone him out? Can he get his combos? And then both of us is, can we kill, you know? Like, can I get this kill and get a lead? And even then the leads are so fragile too, because once the other person's at low %, they can just do whatever and barely get punished. I talked about this last time I made a matchup chart. I've talked to MK Leo and Ryuga, and they think that Ike might win this matchup, like straight up -1. I have never actually played the matchup with them. I've played Ryuga in friendlies, and Loki, he bodied me, but it wasn't tournament. So unless he bodies me in tournament, I'll believe him. I think she has the anti-airs to just completely shut him down. His ground options do have what it takes to like at least contest ZSS, like give an up B, side B, down tilt, etc. Off stage, he actually doesn't really sweat that much. He kind of recovers pretty simply against ZSS. It's just the normal generic mix-ups. But he does kill her early. That's very nice. Probably what a lot of people wanted to see is Minecraft Steve. I'm sorry to break your hearts, Minecraft boys, but this character gets destroyed by ZSS. Her range just completely outdoes anything he's capable of. The whole tool mining is just outdone by like Zaire camp. Like I can just pester him with Zaire. He gets comboed super hard. His disadvantage is nice. Like for him, he can like build blocks, drop anvils, kind of be pretty ambiguous with his getting back to the ground. But he shouldn't be winning neutral. Like he has to reach for kills, you know. It does not look very pretty for him. Do Min Min next. Min Min is like, I think ZSS does pretty well against Min Min. The stupid little arm thing just doesn't work against her. Her whole gimmick is just kind of outdone by my mobility. And she has to get a lot of good callouts, but It might honestly be a +2. I still have to deal with the arms and stuff, but I mostly have to worry about getting grabbed and getting shield camped, which, I mean, if she does get going on that, it could get pretty ugly. But her whole gimmick is kind of just, I jump over it, and goodbye, GG's. Alright, let's get back to me complaining. That's what we all wanted to see, right? Inkling! I hate Inkling. This character is, it's a small size, again. My aerials, they're hard to get out. At a good mix of timing. And, the back air is super good. Like, she beats me air to air. She's small, so it's hard to hit her. And up throw up air is really whack, you know, because I get locked into on the ground by like Inkling's back air and like splat bomb and stuff. And then I get up throw up air at like 100 and like, all right, next stock, have fun. And you know, Inkling's damage building is absolutely ridiculous too. So all that coupled together just makes a bad matchup. The only thing ZSS has that's going for her in this matchup is the fact that I can go off stage. And if I do get a neutral interaction, I combo horizontally so I can get them off stage. So, because Inkling isn't like phenomenal at ledge, there's only a handful of options that like are really, really good, but that makes them predictable. We'll do Junior. This character's just bad, man. I don't think he has what it takes. He's stubby, even though he has the speed to, like, he has a burst range, I guess. It's still not that good. His combos, obviously, on fast fallers are always very good, but I'm not going to let him get those combos. I have the mobility to not let that happen. His heavyweight and stuff just doesn't really matter because he's getting out neutraled, out comboed, and I can go off stage versus him. He can't go off stage versus me, or else he probably just dies. Chrom, this is a same tier as Roy. Similar reasons. The recovery is the only difference. Like if I were to say which one's harder, it would definitely be Roy. But with Chrom, it's just more consistent now. Like I have to worry about the farther away damage ranges now. And although his recovery is a little exploitable, it's still hard to execute too, because if I mess up, I just die, and it's hard to actually do those kind of things and be confident with it. He's got what it takes to fight ZSS in neutral. The air-to-air combat's hard to fight. The ground, he's just better. He has like throw combos at low percent, and safe ground options. So it's just a straight up bad matchup, you know. Luigi, this matchup, man. I think I put this at a +1 last time. This is a +2, dude. Every time, whenever you look at it, dude, this is just terrible for Luigi, man. He's faster, I think, than Mario or something. I'm not entirely sure on that. But like, even if he does manage to get his silly little stupid combos on me, he still can't kill me. You can't catch the assist as Luigi. You just don't like. You don't have good air mobility. Your ground mobility is just not really gonna get it done because I'm already up so high. If I'm jumping away from you. Even if I wanted to fight on the ground for a mix-up, I could. Off stage, he should die, like, almost every time, if you're good. Wario, I think, is an even matchup. You have to play pretty aggressive in this matchup. It's supposed to be a lot of bait and punish, but ZSS is better at the baiting, and Wario is better at the punish. I think that is the literal extent of the matchup. Because he shield camps, and if I miss my grab, he punishes me really hard, and if I get the grab, I can play advantage state. The waft is obviously super annoying. Once he does finally get waft, I have to play even more bait. Shulk, -2. This character can get out of like all my combos with not only shield Monado, but smash Monandos. He can air-to-air me really well, and if he wants to deal with my ground game, he can just shield. He's good on off stage because his Monado arts. He actually has an out of shield option too, so pressure just doesn't get to him at all. Ice climbers, you're just another +2, dude. Sorry, your character doesn't function once I get rid of one of them. And I can target switch super easy. You just get put away. Like, I'll go off stage versus you. I'll grab you. Like, you're not really going to be able to, like, open up ZSS at all. Hero is another one that's kind of sucks. Like, he has, like, the funky factor is what I'm going to call it with his menu, which kind of makes the matchup a little weird, but his aerials do a lot of damage, which help him a lot. Like, his air-to-air, if he manages to get out before me, which is obviously extremely possible. He does pretty well in the matchup. His side B is good for dealing with me in the air. If I'm just jumping around trying to Zair camp him, his side B will actually just put me away for that. But his disadvantage just sucks against her. He can't really keep advantage because I'm just so much faster than him. But even though he doesn't usually keep advantage, he just fishes for buffs while I'm in disadvantage. He gets gimped and stuff. It's just ugly. Duck Hunt, that's just a measly +1. I don't think it's anything too crazy. Kind of similar to Banjo, where you end up trading a lot more than you would like. And he wins more neutral. But he has a hard time killing, obviously. He's gotta really reach for his kills, which CSS, that's when kind of where she thrives sometimes. Once you start getting greedy, she starts blowing you up, and then offstage just sucks for him. Sonic, another matchup I wish I had more experience in, like at top level. I'd like to obviously play against like Ken or Wrath at some point, but based off of what I've played, I think it's a -1. He has the ability to whiff punish and condition from basically anywhere. You can't really gimp him, and he's another one of those characters that due to his back air, he can do similar to Pikachu, where he can influence how I recover, which would make me predictable, and then he can call me out. So there's that. Homing attack's the perfect whiff punish option. He gets a lot of stray hits on me, which sucks. He really shouldn't be comboing you that hard, but he wins in the stray hit department, and it's really hard to catch him too, given the fact that like I just have to know where he is, dude. He's too fast. Mewtwo, +1, kind of similar to Lucario, where I think that like the Shadow Ball, I guess, is a pretty big part of the matchup, but he can actually like anti-air and nair. His big body just sucks, dude. She needs like the least amount of combos on Mewtwo to actually be able to kill him. Sucks for him, but hold that. You're playing Mewtwo, dude. Lucas, you get gimped, kid. Sorry. It's really annoying to get in on him in neutral, but like once you're in, advantage gets pretty rough for it. Like my advantage state is pretty rough for him. I can go off stage against him. Like he doesn't really have any like good ground game neutral mix-ups besides like Nair, Zair, and like F tilt, which I can just outbox with Zair and Nair, or just shield, you know, because if I get grabbed by Lucas, oh no. His damage output's really good though. That's the only reason he can kind of keep it close in some way, shape, or form, is because his damage output's really good. And it is kind of hard to gimp him, but it is possible. Wii Fit, I think, is a +1. It might honestly even be a +2, dude. The camping's kind of annoying to deal with, but if you just play super patient and don't commit to anything stupid, they'll slip up. The character's hard to hit and can low profile a lot of ZSS's stuff, which is why I think it's only a +1 and not a +2. And the potential for damage output with Wii Fit is really high if you manage to get a good string with deep breathing. And you can kill ZSS pretty early, but catching her is the hard part, especially because she's outzoning you most of the time, even if you're camping. Pit, he just wins neutral but can't really kill you. That's the thing with Pit. He has the good ground game, good air game, he can grab me as much as he wants. But ZSS, it just has better frame data. It's kind of similar to Falcon, where she just does basically everything he does better, you know? Hold that. You're still a real character though, which is why it's not a +2. Pac-Man, I think, is an even matchup. He gets pressured a lot to not get his fruit, but it all comes down to how we play around Hydrant, and how well I use my mobility to bait him, and how well he gets his combos. I think it's a harder matchup for him because he has to constantly be worrying about me, but I have to constantly be worried about getting a forward smash at 60 at the edge, because that's where I'm usually hanging out, at the edge, at 60. Juggling him's pretty hard, somehow, for some reason. It might just be T being a slippery little bastard, but I've played a couple Pac-Man in my day. He has the annoying Nair, which is good for trading too. Kirby, +1. It is probably one of the most boring matchups for ZSS. He crouches under all of my stuff, but other than that, he can't get in. So it's just, I whittle him down until he eventually dies, and maybe he'll win neutral a couple times. +1. We'll do Isabelle and Villager kind of in the same tier here. Their projectile camping isn't good enough to keep me away. It's better than Richter's and stuff, like Richter and Simon's, because like their projectiles are predictable, whereas you have a little bit more leeway for mix with like Isabelle and Villager. They have more potential to get damaged. I can go off stage versus them. Winning neutral is pretty easy. They just have the occasional, you know, sequence where they, you know, just kill, like just win neutral, and they can keep it close. And their back air is pretty good too. Like their anti-airs kill, which is very useful for them. I think Villager does better in the matchup than Isabelle does, even though I think Isabelle has a better anti-air. Villager's camp game is just harder to get in. Olmar/Elf, I think, is a -2. ZSS has no really good way to get Pikmin off of her. So, somehow, for some reason, that's the case, even though Nair covers most of her body. It still just doesn't do it. She gets comboed really hard because she's a fast faller. It takes like 2 or 3 neutral interactions for you to be in kill percent. He can camp really well, and if he goes in, he'll get like a big combo, usually because I'm jumping and his anti-airs all combo. He's small, So my aerials come out at a very predictable time, very predictable and like consistent time. So parry or roll, just what the buzz does against me. I can go off stage versus him, which is nice, but he just has to abandon all Pikmin and hope for good mix. Jigglypuff, low key a -2, low key a -2. But I know people want the real answer. It's only a +1. It's similar to Kirby, where she's just super freaking annoying. Her weird pound hitbox is like kind of a good saving grace. Low-key, this might be an even matchup. If I ever played like the best Jigglypuff in the world, it might be even. Because I think she just does better, and like the floatiness is kind of hard to punish. Her air mobility is really hard to catch with ZSS. And you just get kind of poked to death sometimes. And she can't really go off stage. She'll just end up in disadvantage. But playing a ground game just gets me punished. Meta Knight, this character is just 50-50 the character. But he still falls short in the damage dealt department, which is why ZSS does better. They're very similar in like the way they approach matchups, which is mostly rush down or like bait and punish. But ZSS just does it better. We'll do Rosa. She can kill Luma super easily in this matchup. With like just dash attack will just usually just kill Luma, because you can push Rosalina to the edge with just like natural zoning back like there and there, and then you just kill Luma, and then you're fighting like a like a traffic cone of a character, dude. So easy to hit, just super tall. Even if she's crouching, like doesn't matter. The only thing that's good for her is like Rosa, when she actually gets damage and gets me to kill percent with like grabs, back airs, and like actual proper zoning and good use of parries, you know, star bits and stuff. Her up smash is very good in this matchup. ZSS likes to jump, and that up smash is heinous. Corrin, I think it's only a +1. Corrin has the ability to air with ZSS, but the advantage states just don't line up. I can't really go off stage that well against Corrin. I don't really have too much experience in the matchup, so it might be easier in this game than it is in Smash 4. But even though she can fight air with ZSS, like, if I get a combo, it's not gonna equal her combo. Like, mine's gonna be much better. Yoshi! Oh, dude, you're so cool. I love Yoshi. Just kidding. Haha. Yoshi's like... I think it could be even, the Yoshi matchup, because he's another character that can air, and his combos do a lot of damage, and he's heavy. He doesn't really have too hard of a time against ZSS in neutral. I mean, see, it's really hard to decide some of these matchups, like if it's just me or if it's just like the way the matchup actually is. Like the chance of us winning neutral is like very similar, and if he does win neutral, he gets more damage than me. But I can actually gimp Yoshi. I feel like I'm one of the few characters that can do it. I think that's it. It's also pretty easy to avoid a lot of his kill options because he only has so many. You know how I feel about these characters, so I'm just gonna, keep it real with you guys. Very annoying. You're stubby, but you do damage. You're kind of explosive sometimes. Your zoning can kind of help you a little bit. You can get chip damage and early kills. And this character's just bad. Your projectiles don't have what it takes to put me in my place. So guys, this is the matchup chart, the new updated matchup chart. Obviously my opinions have changed a little bit. You find out where Minecraft Steve is. That's probably what most people are, curious about. But yep, this is my opinion as of the latest patch. Make sure you comment why you think I'm wrong. I'm going to tell you why you're wrong. It would actually really help your argument a lot if you showed that you had a good educated opinion by subscribing to the channel, which you could do super simply by clicking wherever the subscribe button is on your screen. If you don't, then you're gonna look like poor little Dr. Mario over here. Bottom of the barrel. Nobody likes him. PhD ain't doing nothing for you, kid. Thank you so much for watching. Adios.